Welcome to another episode of Business Acumen. I'm Joe Manns. With me is Roy Browning. Today we're going to talk about millennials. Is it more difficult to advertise or market to millennials? What do you think, Roy?
Well, I don't think that it's harder to advertise to millennials. I think that what it really comes down to is key targeting, understanding where they are, where do they spend their time, and understanding their behaviors as you're advertising to them. For example, millennials are not likely to click on an ad that they don't know. So they will look at it, they will have an impression served, but they won't click on the ad. They will actually go to Google, they will do a search, maybe even in YouTube of all places, and then they will look up that item if they were interested in it. They're not going to click on that ad. And so that's an important thing to know. People are going to say, oh, well, banner ads are ineffective to millennials, but that's actually not a true statement at all. They are effective, but they are looking them up on their own in other areas. And one of the problems with that I've seen, people find that SEO is more effective and the keyword searches are more effective with millennials, and that's because that's what's happening. They're looking at a banner ad that could have been very successful, and then they're Googling it, and then once they Google it, then they're clicking on the paid keyword ad. So it's kind of skewed, but honestly, millennials are great. Millennials are online all the time. We know where they are. They're on platforms like Twitter and Snapchat and especially Instagram. Right. And so we know exactly where they are. We know what they're doing. It's just a matter of building trust and giving them something of value that they want to hear about.
Roy, you really touched base on the digital aspect of marketing to millennials, but I really want to know in general, not just the digital aspect, but marketing to them in general, because they're not just online. We like to think of millennials as only a digital audience. But what is your take on marketing to millennials as a whole, not just online?
Honestly, they are always online. Even when they're in a physical world, they're in the digital world. And so you might have a TV ad or a billboard. Chances are that they're going to Google something related to that. They're not going to just call a phone number that's on a billboard. Although I like to refer to that as a force multiplier. So they see the billboard, they recognize the brand online later, they build more trust with the brand, and so then they're more likely to take action, but they're going to Google something that they don't know.
So would you say that millennials are primarily online and that's the best way to reach them?
In my opinion, I think it is, because that's where they're always living in addition to the physical aspects.
Okay, I want to challenge you on that, because while I do agree that millennials are online often, I'm going to submit that while they're online often, that just means that they have a whole lot more online advertising noise. So online, you're competing for the millennials' attention, which we know is a shorter attention span based on the research that's out there anyway. And I would say that traditional advertising is probably more effective to the millennial. Let me give you an example. A direct mail piece, something tangible they can touch, is kind of a foreign concept to a millennial. The online aspect of everything is very familiar. So they're almost complacent to online advertising. It's just more noise to them. But the moment that they receive something in the mail that is a tangible piece that they can touch and feel, if it's a really compelling direct mail piece as an example, they could open that up and interact with it in a physical world to which they're not very familiar with or really don't have a lot of aspects. So I think what they're doing is so many advertisers, so many marketers are targeting the millennial online for the reasons that you explained, and I believe those are all valid. But we forget that they still live in a physical world, and the physical world can truly affect a millennial with an advertising message, especially if it's something that they're not yet complacent to or not familiar with in a day-to-day activity.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you that direct mail in today's environment is so powerful because everybody loves to get mail. I love to get mail. I'll open up ads just because it has my name on it. It's exciting. But millennials are very particular about what they do as well. And so I would challenge to say that if we're going to go down that route of direct mail or some sort of a physical advertising piece, it still has to have value. They still want to know that we're not wasting their time.
Of course. So we do live in a physical world. We drive down a physical road. We see billboards around us when we don't have our face in our devices. Getting something that's addressed to us in the mail is kind of a cool thing. We all love to get something in the mail as long as it's not a bill. But we do like that interaction between the physical piece we get and the online aspect of it. So how do you take this physical world, tie it to a digital world where I am most comfortable, where I can share the message with my friends or even consult my friends in a social environment, get their feedback, because every research study that I've either read or conducted has suggested that the millennial generation, and that's a very large gap, so let's define that. Let's narrow that down. The millennial gap is really broad, but if we look at that broad spectrum of the millennials, they are really looking to their peers for an endorsement. My kids, they're going to text all of their friends a picture of an item before they buy it. So they really care a lot about what other people think, and particularly their peers. So that's where the social plays a huge role. So if they get a direct mail piece, they like it, they may ask someone about it before they take action on it. So let me ask you this, millennials, is it harder to market to them or not, whether it's digital or whether it's physical world?
Hands down, I say it's no different than any other generation that's ever been out there. It's just a matter of understanding your audience.
Roy, I think we agree on this one. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Whether you agree with us or you have a different aspect or a different perspective, share your comments with us. Let us know what you think. And thank you for watching Business Acumen. Hey folks, to sum it up today, it doesn't matter who your audience is. Just understand your audience, how they're consuming media, find them, cater to them, give them the answers they want. Don't discount traditional or digital media just because you have a preconceived notion as to what they prefer.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, especially with the millennial generation, remember, it's all about value. They value their time, and they want to know that you're providing value to them. So any advertising that you do, make sure that it's valuable.
That's how we sum it up. Hey, welcome to the Q&A session of our show. This is where we take questions from the audience and answer them for you the best that we can. Roy, the first question we have today is from Steve. He says, if you could define millennials, that would be great. Well, the definition of a millennial, Steve, is anyone that's born from 1981 to 1997. I think it's really important that we discern the difference between a generation and a target audience. Because your target audience is going to be considering your demographics, it's going to consider your economics, sociographics, and your buying behaviors. Millennials are not a target audience, they are a generation, someone born between 1981 and 1997. So when you're doing your targeting, be sure that you look for the target audience, not for a generation, just because they have a label called millennials on them.
Absolutely. And another question that actually Steve asked was talking about the buying behaviors of millennials. And obviously different people are going to have different buying behaviors. And I'm glad that you said that, because if you group millennials all together, you're going to take me, who's in my mid-30s, and you're going to put me in the same group as somebody who just turned 21. And that's it. We're at two different life stages. The 21-year-old is just getting into college or in college, maybe looking at getting married. I have a wife and two kids, and we're in a completely different stage of life. I'm going to buy things completely different than a 21-year-old. I'm going to be buying a different grade of things maybe. I might not be looking at something that is a Walmart special. I might be looking at something that's going to last for a longer time. And the way that we consume media is going to be different.
Perfect insight. Now let's look at what Roger has to say. Roger asks us, what is the best millennial ad environment? Is it podcasts, streaming TV, social media, or something other than that? What do you think, Roy?
All of the above. As I just mentioned, we're on multiple devices at the same time. So I will be watching TV while browsing on my smartphone. Maybe in my old age, I'm going to put my smartphone down and get my tablet out so I can have a little bit bigger picture. But we're going to be doing all of these things. I listen to podcasts on my way to work. While I'm at work, I'm not listening to ads unless they're popping up on streaming radio. When I am researching things for work, then I'm going to see things maybe on LinkedIn, as compared to when I'm at home, I'm going to be looking maybe on Facebook. And so because all of these platforms are legitimate to me, it comes back to knowing your audience, right, and knowing where they spend their time. And that really can be powerful by doing A/B testing. Test your Instagram versus Facebook. Test a podcast versus a video. Test everything. See what resonates with your audience. That's how you're going to know what the most effective way is.
Hey, Roger, I'd like to add to that too. You asked, what is the best millennial ad environment? I think the best environment in general to deliver your message is to consider the organic content. So maybe not just the advertising, but your organic content is really going to get you a long way with the millennials.
Yeah, they want to see value. They want to see that you know what you're talking about. That's great.
Thanks for your questions. Go ahead and ask your questions below. We're going to try to get to them as best we can in future episodes, but thank you guys for watching.
If you found this show valuable, subscribe to our YouTube channel and get more content at summitup.biz.